Welcome to Boundless Pursuit, a weekly podcast providing motivation, entertainment, and education to anglers and outdoorsmen. I hope that the stories you'll find here will encourage you to chase your passion more fervently, to open your mind to new opportunities and perspectives. Your engagement and feedback is critical to the growth of this show, and I would love to hear your suggestions on topics or potential guests. You can reach me at boundlesspursuitfishing@gmail.com or at my website, www.boundless-pursuit.com. That's where you'll find all related articles, media, and merchandise. Please remember, the show will gain traction from your support. Be sure to like, comment, and share this podcast to your friends and connections. I'm your host, David Graham. Now let's get on to today's episode. We've got an interesting topic today, a more modern topic with regards to fishing, and that is the topic of YouTube. YouTube fishing, YouTube fishermen, just documenting the experience of fishing using YouTube. And fishing YouTube channels have taken the fishing industry by storm. And while it may not be everybody's interest or specialty, it has become a part of our fishing culture. And like everything else, if it's used properly, it can be a great tool. And YouTube has brought untold numbers of young anglers into the sport because it's a great source of information, of education, and perhaps most importantly, entertainment. So say what you will about YouTube, documenting the experience via video affords people the opportunity to relive experiences, to showcase talents, information, tips, and techniques. And it gives us the ability to share those things with our friends, our family, or strangers from around the world. But sometimes, though, it's not easy to make an impact, and it's hard to grow a successful channel. Today's guest, though, found rapid success on YouTube with the Deadcrab Fishing channel. In less than 12 months, Carl, the creator of the channel, amassed a following of nearly 200,000 subscribers. And by the time that you're hearing this, it could be much, much higher. Due in part to unplanned viral popularity and another part planned growth strategies, the Deadcrab Fishing channel has seen rapid success. And because of that, I reached out to Deadcrab to pick his brains on some growth strategies that aspiring content creators might be able to use in the growth of their own channels to gain traction and to find quicker success. Very cool conversation, great insight into the world of documenting our fishing experiences with video and with YouTube. This is my buddy Carl of the Deadcrab Fishing channel.
I think that's what all podcasts do. You know, they just start recording and
we just ease into it. I know we got a lot of the good stuff before we hit before I hit record. So we'll try to circle back and get into the real meat and potatoes of this thing. But all right, Carl, good to actually talk to you. This is going to be a fun one. This is one I'm really excited about because I feel like I'm going to be learning a lot today, and hopefully I'll ask the right questions. Anything that you feel like the audience would want to know about this particular topic, just divulge. But you run the Deadcrab YouTube channel, which has just like exploded. And I think I first saw you on some post from Rob Chapman. So shout out to Rob. He's like, I don't know, man, that guy should be in like social media, like talent acquisition, if there was such a thing. Like
right, yeah, he's the guy. He's a guy who knows everybody. So
he knows how to find it, and I got to get him on here too. But
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I saw some post of his. I think he was hanging out with you. I'm like, who's this guy? Like, I just went clicking. But what really took me by surprise was the rapid growth of your YouTube channel, and I'm like, that's interesting. Because there's a lot of people out there. Like, that's the world we live in right now. It's something I'm interested in. It's something a lot of up-and-comers are interested in, is the growth of like a YouTube channel. It's an interesting topic, but you're kind of a guy that's like a proof of concept, like a proof of, you know, what can be done if you have certain strategies, maybe it's certain luck. I don't know. It's new to me. It's deeply fascinating to me, but there's a lot of people that are wanting to get into this. So I want to talk to you kind of about your YouTube channel before anything. So just kind of explain like what your YouTube channel is. I don't know, man, like just what you do. I don't know if you have like a niche or a certain thing you like doing, but just tell me about your YouTube channel. It's less than a year old, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 9 months old as of now. So, to answer what I do on my YouTube channel, I mean, I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
I'm still finding my voice, so to speak. And I've, you know, I'd never made a YouTube video before I, started this one. So it was kind of just experiment and see what happens, and mixed with a lot of kind of research. And yeah. But basically, yeah, as of now, my YouTube channel has been pretty much just fishing videos like you'd see on any other YouTube fishing channel. It's just, a guy catching fish with a couple of GoPros going, or a GoPro strapped to my head or whatever. I think as I've kind of progressed, what I've realized is, I want to do something different. And the thing I've really found out that I want to do most is like tell a story. So I think moving forward, my next video I'm shooting is actually going to be kind of one of these new style videos that I'm doing actually coming up this weekend. So it's everything's shifting,
Yeah.
So
like when you started the YouTube channel, was this just something like, oh man, I'm gonna take a couple of fun videos that my grandma can watch, they want to see what I'm doing, or was it like, I want to start a YouTube channel and like here's my the big picture plan, or was it really just like, I mean, shit, this crazy stuff keeps happening to me while I'm fishing and I need to be filming this stuff? Like what was, I don't know, like what, I feel like some people have a motivation, like a specific goal in mind, and other people just, I don't know, hit the record button and whatever happens, come what may. Like what?
Yeah, I think me, like probably most people most people that fish, they catch these crazy fish and they're like, man, I wish the cameras were rolling, or I wish I had a GoPro going, or whatever. And I've had those thoughts for years. I think me and you are the same age. So I've, I think everyone's kind of thought that thing. But when it kind of came to fruit, it was last summer in Wisconsin, where I am now. And I come here every summer to work. So I kind of work like crazy, work a lot of overtime, and get out of here with enough money to go back to North Carolina and pretty much fish as long as possible, with some other trips, in between and stuff like that. So that's where the idea came. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do a YouTube, I should just spend a little bit of money. I bought 2 GoPros and I bought a drone and I bought a new computer. It was a lot of money actually by my standards, or most people's standards, but it was the time to do it. So, and then right after that summer of working, I'm up here for 3 months, June till the end of August. I pretty much went straight to the coast in North Carolina and had a couple of family, I had like a family reunion and some other family come out to do a beach week there. We rent a beach house and all that. Man, I take it as an excuse to just fish 14 hours a day until my legs feel like they're falling off. But then that was like the crash course, was that first trip. And yeah, at that point, I didn't have a crazy plan other than I'm going to catch a shark and, I'm going to drop some baits for sharks and put these cameras on that I hardly even know how to use.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know how to use them. We'll get into more of that, but it kind of just, I filmed a bunch of stuff. Some of it was good. Some of it was really bad. Some of the times I didn't even hit record. And then I think about a month later, uploaded my first video on YouTube. And yeah, that's pretty much the origin story.
Yeah. Well, okay. So how about the very name Dead Crab? Because where does that come from?
Okay,
is there a meaning behind the name, or you were just like, what's a good name? And you looked down and saw a carcass, dead crab.
Right. Like, the name came, it's it's a pretty funny story, but a good story nonetheless. Actually, the year, I think 2 years before, so 2020, during the pandemic, me and my girlfriend decided, like I think a lot of people did, that we wanted to travel the country. We neither of our family is in North Carolina, which is where we live. So my family's up north in Wisconsin. Her family's in Texas. We just kind of wanted to have an adventure, and also, weren't about to get on a plane during all that madness. And so we actually got a small camper, like a teardrop size camper, and we like traveled the country for like almost a year. Um, and it's funny because neither of us had social media when we did that. And
Yeah.
it was like, I call it like the greatest fishing trip, like never recorded, because I got to go to all these cool places, and we went all the way up north. We went all the way down the southeast. We went all the way through Florida, which I'd never, I guess when I was real little, I went to Disney World, but I don't remember it at all. So it's kind of my first time in Florida. We drove all the way down to Key West, and then all through, the Southwest states. And we actually went into Baja, Mexico, and we drove the entire Baja Peninsula all the way down the Sea of Cortez side to Cabo, and all the way back, 2,500 miles of Mexican highway. And I was fishing along the way. I had rods with me, and I wasn't, I had my girlfriend with me as well. So it wasn't just a fishing trip, but I did plenty of awesome fishing and just didn't really document any of it. But sorry to ramble on that, but the dead crab thing, we were in Texas around Christmas time, and that's where her parents are from. And I was just I just got on YouTube, and I was like, I want to go fishing here, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I know there's alligator gar. We're kind of in the Austin area, but I know that there, it's not really a wintertime fish. I guess you can catch them, but it's surely not like springtime when everyone's just going nuts on them. So I found a YouTube channel that was these guys catching these monster black drum in the like kind of Port Aransas area.
Okay.
And it's all these Mexican guys, and they were all on this pier. And they had like a whole culture down there. It was amazing. They're all using these Avit reels, these $600 reels, custom wrap rods, and like they would all be like color coordinated. So like they'd have the purple reel, and then they'd have like a custom rod with like, matching purple, but also like an orange accent. And then like the braid they were using was the color of this accent and everything. And they were just catching these monster, big uglies, they call them.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I know where this pier is. It's about 3.5 hours away. I'm just going to drive down there. So I drove down, walked on the pier, and walked through the pier house, pay a little fee to fish on the pier. And they said they got a tournament going on, and do I want to enter? And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't want to enter a tournament. They're like, it's only $10. If you win this. I think it was like a pen, rod, and reel combo or something. So I said, all right. And honestly, I'd never caught a black drum other than something maybe this big in the surf that still had its stripes on it. And I was probably way younger in North Carolina. I know we used to catch them and think they were sheep's head. And, but so I walk onto this pier, and they got this little tournament going on. I'm the only gringo on the pier. So I'm getting like a little weird looks, like, who the hell is this guy? Again, they all got their Avit combos, just beautiful rods and reels. I got like a Penn Pursuit, like a $40 reel on like a surf rod, because that's what I had with me. And I just saw what they were doing. I knew that crab was good bait, so I had brought some crabs with me. I bought them at the Asian grocery store in Austin. They're actually so cheap. I think it was like $5 for a dozen. So I had this bag of blue crabs live. And I guess sometimes it's really hard for them to find them down there. So they were all using mantis shrimp like a sea lice, they call them. I
Yeah.
guess that's the same thing. And just drum rigs and everything. But I didn't even know what I was doing. I just saw what they were doing. I tied a rig that looked like what they were using. I went into the pier house and bought one of those spider weights with a big, metal bendy arms on it, which
Yeah.
at that point, I just fished in North Carolina in the surf. I'd never seen anything like that. I seen like the Sputnik weights or whatever that'll collapse, but I never seen those. And I just hooked up a piece of crab, threw it into this current, and like in no time, I hooked this monster. I think it was 38 or 39-inch black drum. And like when you think of like a 40-inch black drum, it does not compare to a 40-inch redfish because it's so tall.
Yeah.
Like it's a 30+ pound fish. And right there, I was like in first place in this little tournament they had going on the pier. And I think these guys were like, what the fuck? But eventually they opened up and we were just talking trash. And it was one of the best fishing nights of my life. I caught so many fish. Like I think I caught 8 or 9 just that first night, all in that same kind of size. And the tournament was a month-long thing. So I didn't end up winning anything. Someone knocked me out. I was only there for that day.
Yeah.
But I did the weigh-in with my fish. The guy comes out from the pier house. He takes a picture of you. And if you place, he puts you up on a board on the inside. So I was placed for a while. And he just hollered back to me. He's like, what did you use for bait? And I was like, blue crab. So after that awesome night of fishing, catching all those awesome big uglies, I call them, I went back into the pier house and like, there's this picture of me holding this incredible fish, at least for my standards. And it says Carl, and then it says dead crab on the bottom. And I was like, I got to have this picture,
Yeah.
I think he made me pay him $1 to take the picture, but I still have it. And then
Amazing.
For some reason, that was the name I went with when I was trying to think things up. I was like, I don't know, this kind of sounds cool.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, it's weird. It's almost like it's nice when the names are like short enough that it almost sounds like a brand. Yeah, like the crab, like logo. It's very like recognizable. You know what I mean? So
I was thinking about some stuff like that as well. Like I didn't want it to just be something. I didn't want it to just be my name or, I don't know, something fishing or I thought that was, I don't know, sounded cool at the time. I guess it is. I guess it worked.
It works. You can make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy about yours is like, there's obviously no shortage of people out there with a YouTube channel. I could have picked anybody that has a YouTube. I know countless people with YouTube accounts, but I don't know a lot of people who've had success in YouTube. It's like, it's one of them things. It's like people that will plug away at it for years and like struggle and like it seems like they're doing all the right things and maybe to the point of exhaustion, maybe to the point of, I don't know, like losing themselves. And it just ain't growing. They ain't getting what they want out of it.
Yeah.
Yours at some point, and we haven't even mentioned how many followers you have. It's like 180,000, almost 200,000 followers, isn't it, at this point?
Yep.
And in a 9-month span, it's amazing. At least I think it is. I don't know much about YouTube, but it's like that's got to be abnormal. So was there
for a fishing channel for sure? For sure.
Well, was there like a breakthrough video? I mean, was there like a straw that broke the camel's back? Like what opened the floodgates? Was there like one viral video? I mean, I've watched a lot of your stuff, but I'm wondering like at what point where did the explosion take place?
Yeah. So there was the first video I had go viral was kind of what blew the doors off. And as of now, it almost has, I think, 50 million views. And there's a whole story behind that too, if you want to hear it. And, it was, I actually almost didn't post the video, but it was right around the time where I'd done 1 or 2 full length videos and a handful of shorts. And I was enjoying kind of the process of editing the videos and learning how to edit and like we said earlier when we were off camera, I've just always been kind of an artist on the side, and it was kind of fulfilling that creative thing. I'm a creative dude, and if I'm just kind of working all the time and I don't take the time to just do something creative, it starts driving me crazy. So what I realized is like that was kind of scratching that itch. So it was around that time that I started doing a lot of research into more the technical stuff of YouTube. And so I was doing a lot of shorts. And so what I'd really kind of popped out in my research was that people were using shorts, which is still a relatively new thing. It's like, I think 2 years, they've only been around 2 years, the shorts, and it's still, they came out to compete with TikTok and Reels and stuff like that, but it's still like changing, and it still has an almost beta vibe to it, to where, I don't know, some people think they could go away, or, there's all different schools of thought on it. But the biggest thing that I learned from my like initial research is that people are using these shorts to get crazy amounts of followers, if they did it right. And the thing I focused in on was the titles. And I say titles, they're actually, if you post it on YouTube, they say like your title is just the text that's on the bottom, that reads on the bottom of a short video. And YouTube calls it a caption, which is actually like the best way I try to tell people, look at it like it's a caption contest. Maybe everyone doesn't know exactly what a caption contest is, but it's something that used to be in a lot of like newspapers and magazines, and it would just be like one square of a cartoon, and everyone tries to write the funniest or craziest or most engaging thing on the bottom. It's no different like with a YouTube video. And this is, again, we're just talking about shorts, strictly shorts here. So another good example or way I like to put it is you could have a video of, I don't know, you could have a video of a leaf sitting on the ground and that was the whole thing, but you could come up with something so clever to write on that thing that video blows up and gets 1 million views. But at the same time, I'm sure you've seen it, or maybe a lot of the listeners have seen stuff like this. You guys have channels and they have amazing stuff, especially in the outdoor world, like something they've captured, like a shark breaching the top of the water and grabbing a pelican or something like that. And it's got a couple thousand, and it's really literally that caption or title can just make or break a video. So I started experimenting with that hard, and I was seeing a lot of success. And then so my first viral video, which is the one we were just talking about that has almost 50 million, it was a video of me. So this was on that same kind of first trip after Wisconsin, after I've saved up and worked for the summer. I think end of September. This was on Topsail Island in North Carolina. But I had hooked this, still my biggest shark to today. It was an 11-foot tiger. And I had hooked it on my first shark reel, which I've learned on, but I'm no longer using because I've learned my lesson. I didn't kill a shark or anything like that, but it was a Penn Squall 2-speed 50 wide. And I think it puts out 45 pounds of drag at full.
Yeah.
And this thing was maxed out and it was not stopping this shark, at all. I was just basically harnessed in, just holding this thing, and he was going to go. And I was like, I was so worried. I was like, man, I cheaped out on this reel. It's going to spool me. This line, the hollow core braid on there, it cost me $600. You know what I mean? Yeah. However many thousand yards of line on there. And then, or also, I'm not going to be able to get this fish in. I'm going to wear it out. you don't want to kill a fish or a big shark at all. So I had basically everyone on the beach helping me. I had 6 people helping me kind of, and so the fight was prolonged as well. The fight was an hour and 10 minutes. I'm not a huge guy at all. I'm a skinny guy, but I have when it comes to like fighting a fish, like many people, I don't know, I just like my spirit just locks in and I'll die. We'll both die. We'll both fight ourselves to death.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I basically couldn't stop this fish. I had my girlfriend run out in my truck, get some deerskin gloves. I had them on. I was clamping the line to try to just add drag as it was coming off the reel, and after a while my legs were giving out. So I had, some of my girlfriend's family, it was a family reunion for her side of the family. They were out there. I had people hoisting me back up when I would go down to these big bends, and like a guy in front pushing back on the reel and all this stuff. And I thought at the time I was making the coolest, most amazing YouTube video ever. Yeah. I had a GoPro, like a brand new GoPro 10 at the time was the latest one. I had one on my head. I had one in a surf spike on a little handheld that whoever there could record with. We had a drone up in the air, all this stuff. And by the time this, the shark comes in and I release it and everything, fish of a lifetime, still my biggest fish. I like look back at the footage. The GoPro on my head is just pointing down. Yeah. All you see is the reel, and it's just the reel and me like breathing heavily and grunting and cursing for like an hour. Yeah. And then the other camera, like whoever had it was never pointed at the right thing. It wasn't recorded when the shark came in. There was no footage. And then the drone that was up the whole time, I thought we had footage of the shark coming in. We had footage of the release. The drone followed it back out and then didn't hit record on the drone either. So nothing there. So basically, man. And it killed me. It frustrated me so much just looking back at that footage. Cause like I said, I was like, I just made the coolest shark video ever. And that goes to show you, like, that's just the kind of crash course I was on. Like, I didn't know that I should have, checked the adjustment on my camera or whatever. I just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I, for a while, didn't want to put any of this footage out because it was so heartbreaking. But what I did have was one good vertical video that my girlfriend actually shot of just the spectacle of all these people on the beach, like helping me up and pushing me back and everything like that. And, yelling and grunting and all this stuff. So eventually I was like, I'm going to release this as a short. And I just had I basically released it because I had a good idea for the title. And like I said a second ago, I had done some research into how those titles can really affect something. So yeah, it was, I think the title is When It Takes 6 People to Catch One Fish. And then like an emoji of a like brain exploding or whatever. I don't know if you know that emoji. It's like mind blown or whatever. And eventually that thing just started taking off and going crazy. And like as of now, it's still getting hundreds of thousands of views every day. I've since had like many, many other videos go viral as well. Yeah. But that's the one that kind of started it all. And it's just so funny because it's like, I almost didn't post it. And I'm glad I did. Yeah. And
well, I saw that video. It's funny because when I went back after finding you on, when I just found your page through like Rob's stuff, and I found your YouTube channel, and then I saw that video. I had seen the video before when it was making its rounds.
Yeah.
It's good that it like is short enough to where you see that and it's like, okay, this seems a little, dramatic. This is like a lot of people. So it it leaves enough to the imagination that you want to see more.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those videos that it just spikes a reaction from
Yeah.
people. There's so many. I don't know how many.
Well, you want to see what
tens.
comes next. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the things like, there's a lot of people who are like, show the fucking fish. They're the mad you don't see it. And I'm like, I don't have footage of that fish. This is the best footage I have. Eventually, my girlfriend's dad did take a video on his iPhone, and I eventually got that footage, and I've since released some of that. But
yeah,
just the response from people, and there's tens of I don't even know, but there's hundreds of thousands of likes on it. There's probably about almost 1 million likes. So it's not like people just hate the video and that's why
no. Well, I didn't want it to make it sound like I was hating on it.
No. I totally get it. So there's been so many crazy responses to that and so many funny responses. The one that you get a lot is like, show the fish. People are just pissed, and people are like, you wasted my time. And I'm like, the video's 9 seconds. Like, what are you doing here? But then also so many people, there's so many funny comments in there. And like I said, there's like tens of thousands of comments. I haven't read them all, but I've gone through them, and I've really enjoyed the comment section. There's been so many funny ones. And, when it first started, there were hundreds of comments of people saying he hooked the Russian sub. Because, this is kind of like when that was going on in the news. That was the hot thing. He's got the Russian sub. He's got the Russian sub. And this thing has gone viral for so long, and it still is going viral, that it went from the Russian sub to he hooked the Chinese spy balloon that got shot down to just last week. There's a ton of comments about me hooking into that Titanic sub thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, people are just brutal in the comment section.
When, well, that is actually a topic that I want to get to, and I don't want to jump quite to that, but I know it's a good one. Because it's the internet. It's the world we live in. And when something gets big enough, you're going to get the full gamut of responses. Some of them are going to be encouraging. Some of them are going to be hilarious. And some of them are going to be straight venom.
Yeah.
And we've all dealt with that. And I think it's a good topic to talk about, in dealing with that. How do you deal with, it's almost like not a good thing to go to the comment section sometimes. I've had one video go viral, and it wasn't fishing related. I had a video of me fighting with my dogs over a Christmas tree go so viral that we were on Good Morning America.
Oh, wow.
Me and my wife. I think that's the name of the show. Anyway, Carson Daly and Al Roker called us. We're talking to them and stuff like this. Wow. It's crazy.
Was this on Facebook or something?
It was on Facebook. Yeah. It got 40 million views in 3 days. And it's a very wholesome video. It's me playing with my dogs. What is there to be upset about? But, I went to the comment section. Maybe I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And it's, you find, people will find a reason to be hateful and to be nasty. Yeah. And I was just wow, it's very easy to get pulled into it and have a bad day. And maybe we'll get into that. I think that's an important topic to get into because it's, something gets big enough, you're going to get a little bit of a dose of hate, but we don't want to go that route quite yet. I've definitely seen that video. But I want to talk just about growth of a YouTube channel in general. I know you're sort of exploded onto the scene, but at the same time, you understand that there's strategy behind it. Other people do not. Even myself, I don't really understand. But I know that, I guess we'll jump into this. It's kind of there's a lot of controversy in YouTube. It's sort of you have to walk a very fine line, it seems, between, to where it doesn't get ridiculous. It's you want it to grow, and you have to do certain things to pull the audience in.
Yeah.
And I know one of the main strategies, and I want to get your ideas on it, is the icon. I know a lot of people like to use the term clickbait.
Thumbnail, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Though the very term, it just has a negative connotation behind it.
Yep.
But it's almost you're making your 2-second, millisecond sales pitch to somebody as they're scrolling to capture their attention. So just give me your, I guess, I don't know, what is your opinion on the value of creating, what is the importance of creating the thumbnail? What elements does it need to have to garner somebody's attention without being misleading? I think that's
Gotcha.
the key thing.
It's going to be hard for me to just say like what should be in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I can maybe make some generalizations, but I think more importantly, I just want to stress like the importance of the thumbnail. And there's like this whole list of things that I don't know if we were talking about this on or off camera, but you're saying some people do, they work on YouTube channels for decades and they never really get,
Mhm.
the traction they're hoping for. It's on a list of many of those things. It's like you put so much time and effort into the videos and you buy the cameras and everything, but then you don't do the research, or you don't find someone who can do Photoshop and pay them a little money to do your thumbnails or anything like that. You kind of just stop there, and it's a heartbreaker for me because I know just how much work it is to try to do one of these channels. It's so much work. I mean, it's harder than I've ever worked on anything in my life, and I've only ever done like manual labor jobs, and people get really passionate about it, whether you have success or not. And people will, they'll edit till 4 a.m. to get these videos out, but then overlook some of the like technical research stuff. But not to go off on a tangent there, but thumbnails, your thumbnail and your title go hand in hand, and they are basically that's your first kind of lifeline to an audience, basically, and very important. I would say your thumbnail and title for a full-length video, and we'll talk about full lengths and shorts. I don't want to confuse everybody. Full lengths and shorts are almost like a different platform. You know what I mean? It's almost like TikTok and YouTube or something like that. It's a different audience. They're and completely different strategies. But so the thumbnails for, like I just said, the thumbnails for the full length videos, super important. It's really half of the battle. And you mentioned clickbaity type stuff. That stuff can work, but actually, so YouTube is constantly changing, and the algorithm is constantly changing. So it used to be, and I think this last change came only about 5 or so years ago. But it used to be that you could, and you've seen it, everyone's seen it, you could have just the most clickbait thumbnail ever, and you'd get 100 million views. You know what I mean? But the video could just be total crap, or even worse, we've all been fallen victim to it. You click on it and the video is like not what you thought it was. Or it's like, whatever UFO stuff or like crazy sea creatures found, and you just click on it and it's just some total, crap. Who knows what it is. So YouTube is constantly trying to be more user friendly. Basically, it just wants to put out videos that people actually want to watch versus videos that people want to click on. So I think 5 or 6 years ago, I think it might have been 2016 or something, they completely revamped the algorithm to where just clicking on the thumbnail was not going to keep that video kind of in the spin cycle and keep pushing it out to more people. It had to be clicking the thumbnail, which is called click-through rate. So click-through rate means it's what percentage of people click on your video when they are presented it, say in the sidebar where it's like suggested videos, or maybe you're on a home screen, or maybe you're watching another video and it ends. It's how many people click on your thumbnail that are presented with your thumbnail on some facet, whether it's your phone or whatever. So there's that. And then there's your percentage viewed. So people actually have to view a certain amount of the video for the algorithm to say, for the new algorithm to say, okay, now we can push this to more people and see what happens. And that's precisely how the algorithm works. It doesn't matter. And this is another thing that changed. It doesn't even matter how many subscribers you have, really. It's going to put your video to a small amount of people. If they click it and watch it And I'm not saying they don't have to watch the whole thing, but even like a 10 between 10 and 20% is considered like good for how long people watch your video. So they'll push that to a small amount of people. Say they push it to 100 people. If, 60% of them click on it and watch half of it, then they're going to be like, oh man, push that to 1,000 and then to 10,000 and 100,000 and 1,000,000. So that's just basically how that works and how that stuff goes. But now, as I mentioned, those changes, you just can't do the clickbait thing. It doesn't work anymore. Go back and find some of the channels that you used to watch that do clickbait stuff, or maybe you didn't watch them, maybe you just know about them. Go look at them now. They're suffering if they don't adapt.
Yeah.
And it just really doesn't work anymore. But that's not saying it's not important. It's still so important, because you could have the most engaging, beautifully shot, well edited video ever. If people don't click on it, then the algorithm just dumps it. It gives up on it. So you need both those things.
It's interesting. That's like one of the ones that I always kind of like got curious on how it affected I don't know, the performance of the video, because like yours, I'll say, like, yours don't seem, I say clickbait again, it sounds like a negative thing, but it's like,
no, it's fine.
Yours don't come off to me as like my idea of like clickbaity. They're well made. Like it's a realistic picture of what you put there, and I click it, I end up seeing that, and like I appreciate that, my style. I feel annoyed and almost betrayed when the image doesn't match. Like,
so that's YouTube doesn't want that to happen. They're doing everything so that doesn't happen, because that used to happen all the time, as you know, and they don't want to be known. But it's that's not good for anyone, because it's not good for YouTube, because they end up paying, a bunch of money from the ad revenue to these videos. And the audience is, they're not happy either. And that's it. Another thing that drives video success is the engagement. And that's people, commenting. Well, the algorithm doesn't read the comments. It doesn't know if they're good or bad. So that's another thing that used to happen. You had this clickbait thing and people clicked on it, and then they were like, oh, God damn it. And they get in the comment section. There's a million people pissed off. Yeah. Well, they're like, oh, the engagement's through the roof. This is the algorithm is just it's a machine. It's artificial intelligence. It's like, must be good. But they've done a good job of getting past that in recent years. So
that's so we keep using the word like algorithm. That's one of those things that, like, somebody like me, let's say someone like me who's like, I would like to have a YouTube channel. Like, it's like I would like to have somewhere that I could put videos. If nothing else, kind of like you alluded to earlier, you have these amazing experiences on the water, but like, the memory of it, it's like it just exists only in your head. It's something that you would like to, like, for me, I know I've got so many things that have happened to me on the water that I wish I could go back and like almost relive. And that's the best way to do it, is through video. But somebody that's interested in starting a YouTube channel is going to hear the term algorithm. But then it's like, well, what is that? Like, can you see it? Can you find it? Like, what is algorithm? It's like this nameless, faceless thing. How do you know? You kept saying the algorithm has changed. Is this like something that can be read about? I mean, how do you know when changes are implemented? Or is it just like you see a sudden change in the metrics and something changed? Like, how do you adapt with it?
Well, I mean, unless your channel is huge and you have all these, metrics and analytics to look at, you're not going to be able to see these changes and everything. But YouTube, they're owned by Google. When they change everything, they kind of put out something in their terms of service. Okay. And it's kind of like lawyer contract speak. You can't hardly figure out what they're really saying, but they do announce these changes. But you got to rely on the YouTube content creators to inform you on that. So just like when something breaks on my truck, I like to do all the work myself. I don't know how to do every single thing. So a lot of times I just pull up a YouTube video and I can figure it out, if it's nothing too crazy. Same thing with, when you're doing research on this YouTube stuff, there's going to be a guy whose entire channel is just putting these things into kind of layman's terms, something you can digest, and being like, hey, they've changed it up. We've done the research. We've also, we went off what they said they changed, and we've, put that against other data. So that's where I'm getting all this information. Honestly, it's just from YouTube itself.
Yeah, because it's like, I guess it's obviously they're not like sending out a memo that says, update alert. Going forward, we'll have this happen. I guess one of the more recent things, well, I think it was recent. I thought it was peculiar how they like decided to stop showing like likes versus dislikes. Like you can only see how many likes something has. I mean, what was that to like preserve people's feelings? Like, what does that do?
I think that's probably what it was. I'm not sure anymore. You can still see it in your analytics as a percentage, but you can no longer see how many dislikes you get. So I think that was probably just like probably a good call, because we kind of glazed over it, but we were talking about like reading the comments and negative stuff. And, there's definitely a mental health aspect of these social media things where you can get caught up in it and it can really mess you up. So I'm sure it had something to do with that.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, maybe I'm giving YouTube too much credit and goodwill there. Maybe it's probably all just to make money, but
you're probably, yeah. I'm sure it's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But I always wonder too, like, and maybe this is opinion and maybe it's matter of fact, but like, I don't know, what's been your observation? Like, is there more value in being consistent or putting out like a quality, I guess I use the term product, because, a lot of people who want to do a YouTube channel, they can only get out one day a week but hey, maybe they get out that one day a week, but they film a lot of stuff that they can kind of slow trickle. Like, is it more important in your opinion, or based on what you've observed, to be a reliable for your audience, to know that you're always going to be releasing something, or to be impactful on the occasion, or like, what is your thoughts on that?
Definitely 100% the second thing, the quality over quantity. And that's another one where there's kind of this old school thought of YouTubers that have been around for say 10 years ago. It was all about consistency. Everybody's like, you got to get that video every week. And I think, like I said, YouTube is always changing. It's always changing. And what worked for someone one year could just completely stop working the next. But I think that's definitely, a big part of it is just putting out a really good product that someone's going to click on and watch, versus just saying, I got to get out my video every week. I got to get out my video every week. And I think on so many levels, that's just bad. And I'm not just saying this because I did the research and that's what the smart guys are telling me or whatever. I have done that myself. And when I was, first starting out, that's what I thought. And everything still exists on YouTube. So there's a guy giving advice 10 years ago that you could watch his video and you could follow and he could lead you astray. So that a lot of people are saying this consistency thing. And everything suffered when I was doing that. And especially like, we were just saying like the mental health thing. I'm not saying I was losing my mind, but I was just stressing. I was staying up late editing. I was putting so much energy into it that like the creative part of it started suffering. And when you're a content creator as well. When there's not, you can see right through that. Even though we're looking at a screen, you can see right through that. When someone the joy and the passion isn't there, you just tell right away. So yeah, there's an element of that too. But if we're just talking the technical side, put out the best video you possibly can. Also, don't you also have to put yourself out there though. Same thing. So I think we were talking about this earlier too, when the cameras weren't rolling, you know, before in kind of some of my other creative projects before I did YouTube, I was kind of like a perfectionist, and I'd hold myself back and I say, it's not ready. It's not, I got to tweak this. I got to tweak that. And you end up never putting it out. And so many bad things happen when that happens, but you just don't learn. You don't put something out there. You don't fail in front of, thousands of eyes, which if you want to just jumpstart on learning something, do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. put out the less than perfect project. So it's a balance between that. Don't feel like you need to post on a schedule to where it's going to affect how good the content is, and also just going to affect you, stress wise.
Yeah, that's good stuff. It's like I kind of want to go the tone, like at least in this early phases of like, somebody that's interested in getting started, not necessarily somebody that's already got one, is trying to figure out how to like inject a little bit of life into it. But like, somebody more in my position who was like, I do a lot of I do a lot of awesome fishing. Like, I really want to start capturing these moments. What are some of like the basic things that somebody would need? Like maybe like camera gear, like what, when you go out on a day to film your day of fishing, what are some of the things, I don't know, that maybe that they would need?
I'd say to start, just get one single GoPro and get like a head mount or a chest mount. I prefer the head mount because the footage is just cleaner. The chest mount is difficult for fishing because you have this going on in front of it. But man, the head mount, it starts hurting after about an hour wearing it. And, a guy like me, I'm crazy. I'm a fisherman and I'm trying to do these videos. So I just keep that thing on my head for 12 hours and feel like I'm dying. But yeah. I would just start out with a single GoPro. They've been good for a while. You can get one of the older ones, a couple $100. And I don't know if you're familiar, but with someone like Ty Pig Patrol, I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's one of my favorites of all time. And he's a big inspiration to me to do my channel, but I've been watching him for years. And I remember actually when he announced, he's like, I'm going full time, I'm making enough money off this. But to this day, his videos are shot on one GoPro that's on his head. He doesn't do drone shots. He doesn't have a camera 2. He doesn't inject B-roll. It's just straight up fishing. And now that doesn't mean that's going to work for you. And that's actually, that's hard to do. He just happens to be just like the greatest of all time with a fishing rod and one GoPro. But I'd say do that, get the one GoPro, don't spend a ton of money on it. Download something like DaVinci Resolve, which is an editing software program that you can get for free, but it's a professional grade software. People have many Hollywood Marvel movies have been edited on that, not the free version, but and just see if you like it is what I'd say. I think that's maybe another downfall of me in some of my past things, which ended up working this time. But a lot of times I'd be like, I gotta get the best stuff, and I can't do this until I have the right gear, which we as fishermen know that's never the right. It's like the poor carpenter blames his tools or whatever. You just gotta use what you got and get out there. And you know what? You might get out there and you might be like, this sucks. I was having a lot more fun fishing without the cameras going, because I'll tell you this, it is a lot more fun fishing without a camera on your head, without worrying about, did I get the shot, without worrying about this. So it has to be, you have to have some passion for the whole process. So if you start learning editing, you're like, this is really fun. This is a creative outlet for me. And you like post something and people engage with it. And you're like, oh, people are getting something out of this. Then yeah, that's worth it. But almost all the fishing YouTubers that I follow, and sometimes, a lot of these guys have Instagram, so you can see a little more behind the scenes on that. Their days off, they go fishing without the cameras.
Yeah.
So There's something to be said about that too.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think that's where I've always I realized pretty quickly there's a lot of like self-discipline involved in it, because that's what I ran into, the same thing. I would leave the house with this like vision in mind when I was still, dabbling with video making. I'm like, this is what I want to capture today on video. And then you get out there and you realize that you're being inconvenienced by having to like, dilly dally with this thing, make sure you're capturing moments. And it's like very quickly I'd lose the discipline to stay focused on capturing and videoing the moment, and the camera went to the wayside. Or something crazy would happen, but I didn't get it on video. So then I don't have the hook set. I only have like, me reeling the fish in. Then I realized, well, I can't do much with this. And it was like a big waste of time. So it's like, it's interesting though, because, I guess maybe we're the same age. I didn't realize. I'm 36. I don't know how old you are.
I'm 36. Yep.
Okay. So it's like, I feel like we're sort of from that era, the end of that era, the tail end of it, where it's like, my idea of fishing video is like what I watched on TV, like television.
Yeah.
So it's like you're used to like that kind of programming, but it's, it's like, I don't know. I see a lot of value in B-roll footage, in like this amazing visual experience.
Oh yeah.
But I also know that's not super relatable. I don't know. It's like you almost want to feel like, okay, that's awesome, that's professionally done, but I could never do that.
Right.
So I like, to your point, like a guy's like Ty Pig Patrol. It's like he does it in a way that's very boots on the ground, and like it's simple, and he's doing awesome stuff, but he's doing it in a simple enough way to where somebody that's like an upstart feels like they can go do that. So
yeah, I think it just feels so relatable to the point of like, it's POV fishing, so you really feel like you're there.
Yeah.
So maybe that's some of the big draw. I think a lot of it is he just has like a great personality that people like, and he's not this in your face talking to the camera. He just seems like kind of like he has that everyman kind of quality to him. So yeah, I mean, and it doesn't mean you can't get creative. You could get some B-roll with your GoPro or whatever. I think if you just want to try it, I would try it and go from there.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like I feel like I'm sort of asking questions that like require a matter of fact answer, but that's not how it works. It's like everybody.
No, they're great questions. Great questions.
Yeah, because I'm sort of ignorant to it, because I kind of wonder, like, I'll watch a YouTube video, and what I like to see is obviously going to be different than what a 12-year-old kid likes to see. But I'll be honest, like when I watch the ones where they're looking in the camera and it's very clearly a fabricated personality and they're extremely animated, like, what's going on? Yada, yada, yada. I'm like, like, are you like that when the camera's not on? I struggle with it. I can't do it. So I would just, again, this is all opinion based, but like, I wonder, somebody who wants to get in front of a camera may feel compelled or pressured, to mimic what they've seen.
Right.
Do you think it's more important to follow, I don't know, a blueprint that somebody's done, that like some of these more recognized guys that, that have those mannerisms? Or is it more important to, like, I don't know, be organic or be authentic or be yourself, or like,
my opinion is more important to be yourself, but also you should definitely keep an eye on kind of like the technical stuff of what other people are doing. And even if their channel's vibe is nothing like yours, you can still learn from them. So, definitely watch YouTube videos, pick up things like trends, even if there's another channel and their personality is complete opposite of yours, you could still be like, oh, well, they're having success with these kind of videos. Maybe someone wants to see my take on it or whatever. And, another thing about YouTube is there's room for literally every personality, and there is an audience for every person. If you are shy and you are just shaking when you're talking on the camera, put the camera on and start shaking, and I guarantee you there's a million people that are going to relate to that and going to be like, wow, that was brave. I want to go with you on this journey, and, whatever. that's the thing about YouTube is people kind of look at YouTube like they do other social media sites, even though YouTube was around before. I'm sure it's around before that term was even coined, but it was definitely around before, Instagram, TikTok, even Facebook, I think. And it's really just, I like to look at it as like it's TV for the people. It's made for the people, and the people are the audience. So it is like a beautiful thing in that way. Of course, there's plenty of like crap and darkness and negativity that can be found on there as well. But
yeah,
I think definitely, trying to be yourself, exactly copying someone is just pretty much never going to work.
Right.
But doing the opposite of that, you're not doing yourself any favors. You've got to not copy, but you've got to take inspiration from other people. You got to kind of borrow and grab and be on the search.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I think, and I guess this is a good word of advice for people too, because this, like, again, we keep talking about things we talked about before we started recording, and I had alluded to my personal difficulty and being alone with a camera, looking into the camera and like talking.
Yep.
I struggled with it because I don't know. It's weird. It's like you get these strange. You get these strange jitters, these nerves, and it's a very big turnoff. I think it's very easy to like turn tail and run, be like, nope, this isn't for me. Like,
yeah,
I ain't doing this. But what I did realize is it's like anything else where like repetitions,
exactly,
are key and critical. So granted, I don't have a YouTube video. I mean, I do this podcast thing, and what I have noticed is that over time, the more you just do it, then you like let your guard down. I'm like,
yep.
I just need to get in front of this thing and just talk like I'm talking to like one of my buddies.
Yep.
It's pretty comfortable, but I don't know.
I'm the same way. To this day, I don't like talking to the camera. I am not that style of channel at all, and it's really difficult for me. I'm uncomfortable just now, and I've had success on YouTube, but I haven't even been doing it for a year, so I kind of just have this, kind of unique thing that happened to me and a lot of information to share. But yeah, as far as that stuff goes, I mean, just do it and put it out there. And if you put the worst, most awkward thing, like you were saying, you'd like listen back and listen to yourself and you're like, I sound like an idiot. What was I saying? Like,
yeah,
we're those kinds of guys where we're always our own harshest critic. So put the thing out there, watch it. It's going to be the most cringy thing ever. But you know what? You just set the bar and you cannot go any lower than that. So
that's a good perspective there. I like
anything past that is a huge success. So
yeah. Well, I like that you're like still new to it, but you've amassed a big following, because it's like you kind of wear both hats, where it's like you're still, I don't know, I guess you still call yourself new. You're still like learning, like you're still new in it to a point, but you've also experienced getting a big following. So like you see both sides, but I want to kind of like transition into a little bit more like you've started this thing, and maybe you had an objective from the get-go, or you start to develop an objective. But and I don't even know if you're at this phase yet with yours, but like, let's say this is where I get thrown off by the YouTube thing. This is where I get very confused, is like the monetization side of it. I don't know how in depth your knowledge is on that. If it's not there, I don't know, just let me know. But it's like people get this idea that they can quit their job, like we took, and some people have been able to quit their job, and this is going to be their career. That's where I get lost. I'm like, where's the money coming from? Like, I don't understand it. Like, the money is just appearing. Like, where's it? Is it all ad revenue? Is there something else? Like, I mean, I guess expand on the monetization side of it, what you understand about it, like what you have to do in order to accomplish that. Like, I don't know where it comes from. It's like, to me, it's this great mystery.
Right.
Like, money just showing up in your account. Like,
right.
How does it work?
I mean, eventually it is like that, but I think we'll just start, kind of go backwards from there. So where the money comes from is just two things. It's ad revenue, and that is simply ads that get played on your videos. So most of it is going to be ads that play at the start of your videos. If your video is of a certain length, if it's over 8 minutes, then it qualifies for mid-roll ads. There's different ads that can be placed through there. And those are also preferences that can be set. So you can say, I don't want, for my channel, I never want an ad to interrupt a video. Okay. Those are all your preferences. You can choose to not put any ads. Also, we're speaking after you get monetized. We'll go back to the requirements to get monetized in the first place. But yeah, that's one of the two places come from is the ad revenue. And then the other place is a share of the subscription revenue of YouTube premium subscribers. Okay. So I don't know if you've ever done YouTube premium. I've had it for a while. It's so nice because, man, I know we were talking earlier a little bit of how me and my girlfriend did some traveling and kind of lived on the road for a year. We prepped for that for like 6 months. Well, we really prepped for it for a year because we were in lockdown. We went from an idea to let's save money to let's start looking for a actual truck and camper to buy. And I did so much research and I was doing so much. I gutted our truck on the inside and rebuilt it, and it has a kitchen in the back and stuff like that. And I did I did all the maintenance it needed, and I changed brakes and all this stuff. So I was constantly on YouTube. It got to a point where I'm like, take whatever money you need to stop playing these damn ads. And it's $10 a month and the ads go away. And then you have, features like you can download videos to your phone and watch them offline. I don't know if you're on flight or something like that, or just want to have, whatever. So that's YouTube Premium basically. So anyone who watches your video, who is a YouTube Premium subscriber, you get a fraction of what they pay monthly for their subscription. So that's where the money comes from. And that's the only place that the money comes from on YouTube, other than some other new features that we will talk about in a little bit. But as far as what it takes to get monetized, so YouTube, like I said, is constantly changing, and they just changed the requirements for monetization. So I'm going to have to look it up here in a second and tell you exactly what it was. But when I got monetized, which granted was only back in February, it's only a few months ago, basically what you need to reach a certain threshold of watch hours. So that's the amount of cumulative amount of hours that people watch your video. So it was 4,000 public watch hours. And a certain amount of subscribers. So it was 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours. Or when Shorts came along, they also had a threshold for just views off Shorts. So you could get 4,000 public watch hours. That's really hard. That's so many public watch hours. People need to be really watching your videos. I think, God, just to give an example, like a video with something like, a video with 100,000+ views is only 10,000 watch hours. So you got to basically kind of go viral to get that first thing, or you could get the 10 million Shorts views, which is what I ended up getting first. Okay. So now I think they've cut that in half. So now all you need is 500 subscribers. So they cut that in half. It used to be 1,000. And then you need 3,000 watch hours, which is on your full lengths, or 3 million Shorts views. And that's within a 90-day period for the second part. you can get the subscribers whenever, but you need to get a certain amount of traffic within a 90-day period. So it's not easy at all to just get monetized in the first place.
Yeah. Okay.
It's no easy feat. I had a certain amount of luck and a little bit of hard work.
Do you have any say or control over like what the ad is? I mean, like because
no, you don't.
So it could be like I don't know. It could be something crazy that you don't agree with, and it could be over the top of your.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube, none of their advertisers are like controversial, and then also these advertisers are, it's all run by Google, so you're gonna get ads.
Yeah.
They're not gonna pay. You're not gonna get a tampon ad on a fishing video, you know what I mean? Because they can look at your analytics and they know who's watching your videos.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get like whatever.
That makes sense then. Okay. Because like there's one that keeps happening to me when I'm like mowing the yard. Sometimes I'll listen to like I have like a playlist on my YouTube of music. You know what I mean? Like I want to listen to freaking music. I don't want to listen to ads. It's like just one of those things I have to deal with. Yeah. I can deal with a 15-second commercial while I'm mowing, no big deal. But they're like, man, there's some ads out there now. Like one of them that's been pissing me off. It's like SEO, like search engine optimization strategy tips and techniques. And I know it's coming from the fact that like I have my website, my blog and stuff. Yeah. And I look at that stuff a little bit. But this ad is like 3 hours long.
Oh, they're so
I'm
bad.
like, oh my God. Like,
that'll
then I got to reach in my pocket and like skip ad. And I'm like, this is bull crap.
That'll make you, I like YouTube for music. So that's another good reason to pay them the $12 a month or whatever it is now to get rid of those things. But you as a viewer, you can choose what type of ads you don't want to see. So if you ever get an ad, you can click the little report thing and you can say, okay, I don't want to see this ad again. Or even you can be like, I find this ad offensive. And
it's interesting because on the flip side of that, like if I'm the person who has the content and somebody's slapping this bull crap in front of my videos, it could be a turnoff. It could be like, man, this guy's, people don't know any better. Me, I don't know any better. I could be like, I'm never watching this channel again because they got too many commercials, even though it's beyond their control.
Exactly. So, I mean, that is all you can do is you can just say you don't want ads at all, or you can say, I don't want the ad in the beginning of my video, or I don't want the ads to play halfway through. But man, if anyone wants my advice, click all those ads, get all those ads, because you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to get that money and, continue funding your passion. So I let all those ads roll. I don't know exactly what they are. I don't watch my own videos too much, but hopefully they're not too bad.
You got the director's cut in here. So
you can always skip them. They're all skippable ads. So,
well, we kept mentioning and like being like, oh, we'll come back to this later. And then haven't yet. The difference between shorts and regular videos. To me, the only difference I know is one of them is shorter than the other. But as far as like the intricacies of, I don't know, driving, people to your channel, or what has more potential to go viral than the other, or what might drive growth better, or how to use one tool versus the other, that I don't understand. Don't know the difference. I would think that the same strategies apply to both, but apparently there's a difference. What is?
Yeah, they really just don't. Almost, like I said earlier, almost think of them as almost like different platforms. I mean, for one, shorts are presented to viewers in a feed. You just swipe through. It's just like watching Instagram Reels when you're scrolling Instagram, or if you use TikTok, it's the same way. They come through in a feed. In a feed. So almost 100% of the views of your shorts will be coming from a feed versus like a suggested video or something off a home screen. So what that means is thumbnails for shorts are, almost irrelevant because no one's seeing the thumbnail and clicking on it. It's just presented to them. So that's why when you wrap your head around that, that's why that title is so important, because people's attention spans are so short. And, unless depending on what kind of content you have, you might just have something amazing and people are going to watch it, and that doesn't even matter. But for most people, you really want to use that title or caption, as they call it, to hook people in, because that's kind of like, I see it as the hook of the video. It's the first place my eyes go. Like I said, unless the start of the video is just like a, bomb going off or something like that, which is usually not the start of a video. It's a payoff of a video. So I think of the title as like the hook. And then after that, if that gets your viewers locked in, and it's so crazy nowadays, we're talking about locking people into watching a video that's 60 seconds max, but that locks people in. And then if the content's good too, then you not only have, not only does the algorithm see that, oh, someone chose to watch this whole video, sometimes they'll watch it again because it loops until you scroll it away. Yeah. And then the other big thing for shorts is like if people engage with it. So if you like it, if you comment on it, if you copy the link and text it to someone, you can see all this stuff in your analytics. You can see people are sending stuff internationally through WhatsApp. You can see all the different countries that are watching this stuff. Yeah. So shorts, I mean, they are their own thing in so many different ways. Definitely in the way that people, are presented them through YouTube, and the way kind of people engage with them. And I would definitely say that would be your easiest way to go viral is with a short. And there's some technical stuff to that, but it's also like, what do you think's easier to make? A 60-second max clip that people will watch, or a 5 to 10 to 20-minute video in this age we live in now with attention span? It's so hard, man. It's so hard. And you almost need that like TV show caliber pacing with just like cuts and B-roll and all this stuff to just like make people re-engage with the video. Because the other thing you got to think is like, if 10 people are watching your video, that's already a miracle, because they can pull up whatever they want. Everything in the world exists on YouTube. Yeah. Anything they want to watch at that very second, they could be watching instead of your stuff. So, and then the other thing that makes shorts different is also when you get to that monetization threshold, they don't pay nearly as much as the full length views pay. Okay. So, your ad, whereas you might be making something like, and this is another thing that affects how much you get paid, is where your views are coming from. If they're coming from places like the US, Canada, advertisers pay more per click or per 1,000 views is really how they pay it. For views coming from ad clicks coming from those countries as they do like third world countries. Yeah. So if all your views are coming from India, you are making a very small fraction of what you would be making if all your views are coming from the US. So, you could be making $5 every 1,000 views on a full length, but you might only make a couple cents per 1,000 views. So, you're making like a couple $100 on like a multi-million view short, Yeah. Versus a multi-million view full length. I mean, you could make $50,000 on, Well, that's cool. Which I have not gotten to that level. It's a goal, but it's, just for sake of the conversation, is very different on that front as well.
No, that's interesting stuff. That's cool. It's almost like they operate as a 1-2 punch anyway. I guess if you have a real impactful, like sudden attention grabber shorts video, it's going to drive people towards your bigger stuff anyway. I don't know. It's like you're throwing the hook out there, and then you're landing them bigger fish, bigger money with the bigger stuff. But it's very interesting how all that works together. I always think about that kind of thing, even by nature, like the work that I do. It's like I have to read analytics and stuff of, a manufacturing operation and like yields and line efficiencies and like little tweaks that we make engineering wise, how it affects downstream stuff. So it's like you can do the same stuff with a YouTube video. And I know I have similar things with the dashboard that I use on my website. It's fun to look at. It's fun to see how
you see the analytics and you see all the different countries and I like that kind of stuff.
It's easy to get pulled into, and I don't know. It's like, and I'm sure some people just make stuff for the fun of it and throw it out there, and whatever happens, happens. Other people might be a total flip side where they obsess over the analytics, maybe to a where it becomes a dark thing. I don't know. Like we've talked about mental health a few times, and now I'm no psychiatrist, but like anything else, YouTube's one of those things that's like it can be such a great tool. It's so great. Like you talked about earlier, pulling up a YouTube to look at, like, I don't know, it can help you save a lot of money if you have a broken down vehicle.
Yeah.
As long as you're not, being stupid with it. But it's like it's such a lot, because there's a tutorial for everything on YouTube. Yeah. It's fantastic. On the flip side, it's almost like there's some bad things, like anything else. There's some, there's a cause and effect behind everything. And I want to kind of go down that road a little bit, because obviously, there's always going to be the grumpy folks that are going to sit back and that damn YouTube has done, I don't know, it's spot burning, has allowed spot burning or whatever. Obviously, when you get to a point where you've amassed a bit, like yourself, you've amassed a big following, it's almost like you have this social responsibility to do certain things or I don't know, be responsible. A person like you doesn't want to have a video of you mishandling a fish and like killing the damn thing by acting.
Oh, for sure. Especially with the shark stuff. And I know, all about that.
Yeah. So it's like, in your opinion, what are some responsible ways to operate it where you're not gonna, I don't know, man. You see folks that it's sort of part of the entertainment is to go like sneaking into private property. And
right.
Cops called, like they almost invite that negative interaction from Karens. And it's like, it makes for an entertaining video, but it's also like, you wonder how many people are out there looking for that interaction. And like, I don't know, man, like let's just some of the potential negatives that maybe YouTube could have that people need to be cautious of.
Yeah. I mean, I think to me, the more negative stuff I'd speak on is like personally as a content creator, and just like how you can get wrapped up in it. And, like we were talking about, looking at the comments and spending so much time on something. And if it doesn't have the response, it can be like crushing and things like that. But as far as, and this has been a subject in lots of the other podcasts, because I'm a big fan. I think I've listened to almost all of them, but it kind of always comes up, the whole like kind of like clickbaity thing, or like you said, the like Karens or whatever. Honestly, to me, it's like people wouldn't watch that unless they didn't want to. So if that's your thing, I think more power to you, because you could hate on someone for like fishing with gummy worms or doing something clickbaity or whatever.
That's the one I always use. I know if you listen, I'm like, fishing with a gummy worm
or whatever, all these things. But it's like, you know what? I'm a fan, because if you're making a living doing that, I think that's awesome, because you should, I don't know, I'm sure you've had some bad jobs or whatever. I've worked in kind of like the manual labor kind of construction field my whole life. And, the things I've done for money, if you think like, doing a video about Karens is bad, like you should, the way I've been talked to by contractors and homeowners and interior designers. And so to me, there's an element of like, you know what? You go get that money, and I love it no matter what. I might not be personally a fan of it. I don't really watch those things per se, but I don't really hate on it.
Yeah.
The things that I don't like is other things we've talked about a lot. Like, and I'm just like you. I don't want to make enemies at all. For one, I don't, I'm trying to be successful. I don't want to, I don't want to put any political stuff in there or any hot button issues or whatever. But then when we get down to when we're talking about fishing, man, there's so much drama and stuff like that. Like you mentioned, spot burn, but like in the shark fishing world, I feel like that in the past, however many years, like all the biggest viral shark fishing videos are what I would consider mishandling of fish. Like people with these huge sharks, they're completely out of water, they're completely beached. There's like 3 dudes sitting on them, and it's always like some buff jack dude or whatever, which is, that they're not all like that or whatever, but it's just like that kind of just turned me off to the whole shark fishing thing. And I've been surf fishing. I know I'm from Wisconsin, but I lived there till I was 6, and I've since bounced around a lot. But I've been surf fishing in North Carolina for like getting close to 20 years now. And honestly, like we said, YouTube is a place where you go to for information. When I was thinking about shark fishing, getting some gear, I would go to YouTube and I would see those things and it would really turn me off. So now we have some kind of like the new school guys, or maybe just, guys that are getting the spotlight on them that are more about conservation or handling the fish, right? Yeah. Like Blake Avery Brown. I think that's like my favorite podcast of yours so far, because
that was a fun one. Yeah.
I'm into the shark fishing, and he's just like so no bullshit and so just genuine, and like it was very educational for me. But I think there's a responsibility there for me personally. And then if you were talking about like, the dark side of YouTube or what I, maybe would steer people away from. I mean, I don't like seeing stuff like that. I don't like seeing sharks out of water and with, guys pulling their mouths open. I hate that stuff. And I think it makes everyone look bad, because and just like, that's something we're trying to change, as creators. But or the bow fishing thing, I've like ever since I was a kid, I always thought like the weirdest, ugliest fish were the coolest fish. I'd love catching bullheads, or like in Wisconsin, my God, like carp. Just people hate carp so much, but I'm like, these things are cool, they're huge, they're cool. And so seeing people, especially when they're shooting a gar and everything like that, I don't like seeing stuff like that. So I think that stuff being on the internet is so much worse than someone doing a clickbaity Karen, or like a magnet fishing cops called, or like a whatever. Well, I used a whole chicken as bait in a spillway. All that stuff, to me, it's all positive, because it's just getting, and you've said it before, it just gets people into fishing.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. I think I've said it a few times. I hope that I've made myself sort of clear where I stand on those things. Like, I will admit not that long ago, even I would get like, I'd be talking just crap on these guys that have like the super silly behaviors on there. Like, these people are idiots. They're ruining fishing. This is ridiculous. These YouTubers are out of control. But then it's like, and it's very easy to do the same thing with like bow fishing. I know we just mentioned bow fishing, to just go crazy hating them. But I don't know, maybe it's me just getting older. I'm kind of realizing, people are going to get into that, and they'll find, now this is what I've always said. I was like, it's getting a lot of people that may have not otherwise been involved in fishing to click on it, to look at it. Maybe they start out even mimicking it, and then ultimately will find their own way. There's obviously some common sense stuff was like, well, that's not right. Like, it shouldn't be doing that. But I don't want to ever sit back and hate on somebody, like you said, who's making a living. Because I'll say this, a lot of the guys that I know that still exist in that frame of mind where they will just go in on a YouTuber, how terrible YouTube is. I'm convinced, and again, this is all speculative, but I have a strong hunch that if somebody came to them and said, on a silver platter, and said, "You can leave your job tomorrow, and we'll pay you.
Yeah.
We'll match your salary,
Yep.
or go above your salary. All you got to do is fish every day and act like this." I'm talking most of them would go do it.
100%,
and I feel very
100%.
firmly in saying that. People are not, they don't, I don't think people as firmly have as firm of convictions as they like to pretend. I do think a lot of it, and the reason I'm saying this is because I know that that I'm speaking on my own behalf. A lot of it stems from jealousy. I sit in this job all day that I hate, and it pisses me off, and I work my ass off to make money.
Yeah.
And here's this guy having a blast and making money, and it that's where it's coming from. There's a hint of jealousy, and I'm introspective enough to have caught myself be like, you know what? I'm bitching about this because that person's figured out a way,
right? Yeah,
as silly as it seems, to make money doing, like, they're making a living making silly videos. And then I have to come to terms with the reality that when the video's off, that person's not acting like that. It's a regular person that's savvy enough to avoid having this crap job. And it's all the more power to them. Obviously at the same time, it's one thing to do gummy worms. That's the one that's not the one. That's the one I always use. That's not hurting anybody. That's not hurting anybody. Now the, ones where I've seen people, I don't know, the trespassing thing is one thing. Even that, hell, we have all trespassed. We have all done it. You do have to worry about, is my actions that's going viral and getting, is the things that I'm doing that's getting me money going to screw it up for everybody else?
Right, yeah.
Sure, I think as sportsmen, we need to be cognizant of that. You can't go trying to get cops called and being confrontational with it's hilarious. And I got to admit, if a woman or a guy or somebody came and got in my face and acted silly, I don't know how I'd react. Honestly, I like to think I'd be the macho guy, but realistically, I'd probably cower and run away from him. Like, I don't want confrontation. I don't like that. I don't want to do it.
That's probably the smartest thing to do in the long run. But
I think it's responsible and important for us, I guess, on this platform to just encourage, maybe kids.
Yeah,
go be hilarious. Go use a pool noodle in a McDonald's carton with a straw to make a fishing reel. Hilarious, funny, entertaining. Don't go, looking for confrontation.
Yeah, looking for trouble.
You're going to get more stuff made off limits. You're going to get more stuff with trespassing signs. That's where it's like, okay, well, you know what? Because the person that doesn't have a dog in a fight, they don't say these YouTubers are bad. These YouTube people are out of control. They say fishermen are out of control.
Yeah, and these YouTube videos are often, young people's, maybe even old people's, first look into fishing. Mm-hmm. So it does leave an impression. Now there's a billion YouTube channels and content creators, and I don't think we need to hold ourselves the same way as like we're pro athletes or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
There's, if you do it right and, you're a good guy, maybe like you, or maybe like me, that you should definitely view things through that lens. Yeah, I mean, I have, my nephews, they're like, I live for these little guys, and they watch all my YouTube videos, and they see these things and want to do the things I do. So I see that firsthand, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to, I would never want to put something out there that I thought a kid could mimic and then, have something negative come to it. But, yeah, I mean, just to kind of backtrack of the whole thing of people getting mad or jealousy. I think a lot of that does come from jealousy, or a lot of that is just reflective of, and it doesn't have to be YouTube. It can be whatever. When people are haters, a lot of times and by haters, I don't mean you're talking shit or you're just joking around. I mean, true hate. A lot of it's coming from people are just very unhappy in their lives, and whether it's jealousy or they or whatever. So 90% of the time, it's just that. And if you are jealous or whatever, you're hating and you're looking at a YouTuber, a content creator, and be like, he just gets to do this gimmicky thing and make all this money. Just know that from experience, it's so hard to do. It takes so much time. It takes a huge piece of your just mind, body, and soul. And like I said, I work as a painter in my regular job, so it's super physically demanding. I'm up on lifts painting exteriors and in people's houses and on extension ladders and all this stuff. That work does not compare to prepping for this fishing trip, getting all these cameras ready, getting the shots, getting back, staying up till 4 a.m, editing. But then past that, you got to put the stuff out. You got to respond to comments. You will work harder on that, and it'll take a toll on you much more than any job you've ever had, So I think people think it's, from face value, it kind of looks maybe glamorous or easy, but and you've had other guys on here that will attest that filming fishing, we couldn't have picked a harder thing to film. It's like, if you're like you film architectural stuff. Well, that bridge isn't moving. It hasn't moved in 80 years. You just go and make sure the light's right. But we have chose to film something that is not even, we got to pull it out of the depths of an ocean or a lake or something and just hope it even bites. And
that's so true. It's funny to think of it like that. Even like any other type of outdoors activity, you can sort of plan for the action to a degree. Like a hunting video. You can line up your shot and be ready. Fishing, you don't know when the bite's going to happen.
No.
It may not happen. You may not. So it's like you have to be filming the entire time.
Yeah.
So that's just funny. I think one of my favorite videos that you have, it must be one of your shorts. It's funny. It's random. It's like a spinner shark or a black tip or something jumps behind you on your. I think it is your video, right?
In a kayak, yeah.
You're in a. It is just this giant shark jumping behind you, but it's like if you weren't aware to be recording at all times from all angles, you may have missed that. It's just like, it's just so funny. But
no, that's one of my favorite clips, and I mean that's a clip from a part of a full length video where I caught my first Jack Cabral. This is in the Florida Keys, right by 7 Mile Bridge. It was actually right under the old abandoned railroad bridge, right by Bahia Honda State Park.
Okay, I fished there. Yeah,
that's where I launched my kayak from, anyways. But yeah, if I didn't have that thing rolling, when that happened, I don't know, maybe people have seen the video or maybe they haven't, but I just heard a big splash and it scared me. I was about to say,
did you even know what it was, or did you have to go back and look at the camera to see?
Yeah, I did not know what that was. And I didn't even see the footage until I got all the way back to North Carolina, the 10 hours of driving later, probably, days later. And I was just like, what the hell was that splash? I kind of, at the time, the weather had already turned. I caught a really nice jack. It was an awesome day, but it started blowing and raining. And I was heading back. I was like, no, it's, this is also my first kayak. I'm more of a canoe guy. So this is my first kayak that I have gone fishing in. And, in the Keys, it's still the ocean. You can get some big swells and stuff out there. So it was like getting a little weird. I'm like, I just got to go home. And I started heading. And of course, just like bonehead fishermen we all are, I was like, just give me one more cast. And I heard that huge blow up behind me. Yeah, it was a spinner. Well, it could be a black tip or a spinner. There's no way you're going to tell from that video of this shark doing a 180 or a 1080. He spins around 4 full times, I think. And yeah, I just heard that splash. I was like, I got to get out of here. That's a wrap right there. So, but yeah, that was a cool experience. I can't wait to get back there again. I'm coming to Florida I'll be there in all of November and December. So I'm
cool.
really hoping I can convince you to put me on a land-based Goliath.
We can definitely try. It's not hard. At least it doesn't require a great deal. I guess some people could say it requires. You're dropping meat in the water, so it's like one of those things where it's just like it's just a gamble. You don't have to work super hard. You go out there, you drop the bait, and you hope for the best. But yeah, when you come, just let me know so I can be ready. I get a lot of people that'll come. They're like, "Hey, just so you know, I'll be there in like 3 days."
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I can't do it, man. I got a full-time job. I got my
you got a
kids. My
family.
kids have activities. Like I'm at that stage where like I have to plan like months in advance to get to make these things happen. But it's like I always want to meet up with like-minded people, but I end up being this loner out here doing this completely alone. But yeah, man, this YouTube. So I know we're getting a little short on my time anyway, but I think about the YouTube thing, and it is something I'll tell you, if had I not had all of my camera stuff stolen I say stolen, it's really I should own up to my irresponsibility.
Yeah, you're telling me about that.
On a previous trip, I'd left my camera bag on an airplane seat, and shame on me for thinking. I guess presumably the people that clean the plane. I don't know. I came back and it's gone. Never saw it again. So lost it, and I have not wanted to replenish it. My GoPros, I had my other nicer camera, all of it gone. But it is something I want to get into. And it's like anything else, I think, for anybody listening that's thinking about it, man, it's just got to be one of those things you make sure you're enjoying. You get so tied up in metrics, analytics, getting something out of it. Like, what can I get out of it? I think you're really rolling the dice on whether or not this is something that you enjoy. I'm sure this is something you can attest to. It's like anything else. It's got to be something you genuinely and authentically enjoy doing.
Oh yeah, and if you don't, then don't do it. And like we were talking about earlier, it's going to show through. The audience is going to tell too, and just no one's going to make it out of there good. But hey, before you go, I got a quick question for you, and I'm wondering if hopefully we could do this without breaking into another hour conversation, which we won't. But can you give me? I know there's lots of talk about bucket list fish. Can you give me your top 3 domestic and your top 3 international?
Oh yeah.
And I promise we won't break off into a conversation about each.
This is it's a fluid topic, like it is with anybody else. It kind of moves around.
Yeah.
But they're pretty I've managed to knock off some of my bigger ones. I'll say
domestic. And I agree with you that your domestic list should be on always on the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Knock out what's in your backyard or what you can drive to or whatever.
I'm going to end up forsaking that, although I would love to. I mean, I'm already in on the South America thing, but domestically for me now that I think it would have been alligator gar, like white sturgeon, and it's sort of interchangeable below that. So I've knocked off those ones. As of now, though, top 3 would probably be number 1, muskie. That's because I feel like I can do that one. Like it's not out of the realm of control. I got a lot of connections. It's a fascinating fish. It's an awesome fish. So I'd say muskie. Everything below muskie is probably interchangeable. Maybe like a king salmon.
Yeah. Because you've knocked off a lot of the big boys for sure. So you're getting into some interesting stuff.
I've always been a big fish guy,
and you're a rough fish guy too. So you got a lot of the funky ones off the list as well.
So probably muskie, king salmon, and then after that, I don't know. I've been on this real. Well, let's talk about saltwater fish, I guess. Then
don't forget about the salt.
I've been on a big thing on these paddlefish lately. It's like, I go back and forth with the snagging thing, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit behind it because I just want to hold the fish.
Yeah.
It's like I want to encounter that one. So that one's probably in there. Saltwater wise, I've caught tarpon. I've never caught a big tarpon. But my thing is, and I've mentioned this in other podcasts, I have these self-imposed, like it has to happen this way.
Yeah.
I do not want to go catch a tarpon from Boca Grande Pass.
Right, yeah.
Drifting crabs. It's just not, I don't want to do that. I want to catch one like land-based or from like a river. I'm really interested in these river tarpon here, way up like in the black water. I'm like very interested in that one. And then like some ones that where maybe I just happen to get lucky with something like a sawfish. That's like a dream on a global scale. That's probably like, even internationally. That's, you can't really target them, but it's like one of those ones I just sort of hope will happen. So I hope that answers domestically. Internationally, man, that list is long. Number one is Arapaima. That's like the one for me. Everything below that sort of starts changing out. Because I think of things that are like I would really like to catch, and then I think of ones that I know I would really like to catch and is realistic. Like I'd really love to do those Goliath tiger fish, but I just know that the options just are so limited. So I put that one further down just because of that. Second to a lot of it has to do with what I feel like I could do like on my own, like without having to get a guide. So I think a big one would be like a Wels catfish, because you can do that in a European country where, you can navigate around without getting lost because of a language barrier. So that'd probably be a second one. And then third, a big one for me lately has been these Nile perch. I don't know. I'm like real into Nile perch. I can't get around on my own doing that, but it's something about that fish is interesting to me. But again, we could go off for an hour talking about my dream fish, but and then another one is like a land-based GT. That's like on everybody's list. I've been looking, and this is actually, I honestly, I feel like this may be one that happens in the next like 3 years. There's some islands, down in the South Pacific Islands.
Yep.
That all of your expenses are travel. Just getting there. Like there's one I'm looking at right now that's like probably $2,500 just travel expenses. Once you get there, though, some of these islands are so small. Like you could realistically, I'm all about being grungy and grimy and like
me too. I cannot. I don't like going out on. I will not go out on a deep sea charter. I will not go out on a troll. No. I won't go out on any charter. I would go out on with a friend who's a charter or something like that. But I can't do it. I can't go to the resort. I gotta go.
Oh, that's a big one for me too. It's I gotta go.
Like actually, I would rather not go at all because I want to go and just be immersed in the culture and just rough it and all that stuff. But I think it's like you, because I do it to a fault, and I'll just go somewhere and not get the thing done where it's like I could use a little bit of help.
My thing is, at the risk of sounding like I'm up my own rear end, I feel very confident that if you give me a week anywhere in the world, like I feel like I can catch anything if I have the time, because I know that I can fish the entire time. I could be nasty.
Right.
Like I can get nasty with the fishing. You know what I mean? Like there's these Pacific islands that realistically you could rent a bike as opposed to an automobile and ride the entire perimeter of the island. There's Airbnbs at this one I'm looking at that are like $50 a night on the water where you wait out. Yeah.
It's basically you get there and you're good. You know what I mean?
I'm convinced. I know one. I've seen videos. I've seen photos. You can go out at a low tide, stand at the edge of a reef where it's just feel like you're on the edge of the world and pop on the edge of these reefs. Man. I know I can do it. You've probably seen the Cavi fishing stuff.
Oh, love that guy.
Similar type of thing. But I've been eyeing this one. I'm like, man, you give me 1 week out there to fish 12 hours a day. Just dog it. I'll be malnourished, malnourished on the brink of death. I guarantee you give me 7 days. I feel like I only need one. I can be content with dying for one fish. But anyway,
same here. No, I'm the same way. My girlfriend hates it. Whenever I go on a fishing trip, I come back dehydrated. I got a headache. My legs are gone. I'm useless for 2 days. It's like, you like this? But
I love that.
The GT thing for me, international, that's definitely at the top of the list. It's kind of always been like a Wels catfish because I just grew up loving catfish and thinking they're the coolest thing ever. So definitely Wels, GT. GT's probably the top, and then Arapaima for that. But man, I think as of recently, the GT thing has just had so much exposure on YouTube with like KV and a lot of these other guys where it's just like, undeniable. It's like, man, I'm hitting the gym before I go on that trip. You
No
know
kidding.
what I mean? I'm making a life transformation for that fish.
That's one though too. Like I feel like I need to go catch some of these big Jack Crevalle here first before I do that one. I feel like weird to not, but I don't know, man.
I love Jack Crevalle.
It's the kind of fish where it's like you can realistically do it on your own that are most appealing to me. So it's, I put like something like a GT even above like a bluefin tuna because I know I can't.
Sure.
I know I can't do it. I know I have to get somebody to take me to the fish. And granted, the Arapaima is the same way, but you're fishing out of a little like rickety boat. Like it's still salt of the earth enough for me to where I feel like it's like.
If you're taking a guided trip down the Amazon in a wooden boat with a 10 horse on it, that's roughing it. The same thing with the GT. I would be so into it if there was like a local that would like walk out to this area with me and, you know, show me the ropes. I would be okay with that. I wouldn't feel like I was on a $400,000 boat and they just put me in front of the fish, you know.
That's the thing is like I look at some of these ones, even in like Africa, there's some real amazing places out in the middle of nowhere, but the lodges where, like you said, it's like there's a white like tablecloth and they're giving you champagne. I'm like, dude, I don't want that. I feel
people have been going there too long too, you know,
messes it up for me. Yeah. And it's like even where I'm going in the Amazon is a lodge that has like Wi-Fi, and I'm like, ugh. I send a message to the guy that operates it. I'm like, can I bring my hammock tent? Like, it's weird to me. Like, I'll probably end up sleeping there, sure, but I'm like, I need to like, I want a healthy amount of pain, and like, I don't know.
Same here. It's
a weird dynamic, but it, yeah.
Hey man, you should check out Baja too. That place is
that's been one. That's
so
another
undiscovered feeling. I mean,
talk to my brother about that one. It's like you can go there, you can rent those like dune buggies and just go, and just drive the beach looking. Like presumably you're talking about something like a rooster fish.
Yeah, that's huge on my list too. And I don't know if that's I guess that is international, although you could drive to it. But getting those ones from the beach is wow.
There's another one is like oh man, here we go. You're gonna get me going. A big one for me. This is kind of I guess an example of like an obscure one is in South Africa. The like KZN, like KwaZulu Natal. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Coastline. It's like South Africa. They do this like the land-based surf casting is like a big culture down there. But they have these giant like guitar fish. It's like they call them sandies, like sand sharks. It's like a mix between you probably know what it is. It looks like a mix between a ray and a shark. It's got the triangular like face of a stingray, but the back end of a shark, and they get massive.
Gotcha. Kind of like a shovel nose or whatever.
Yeah. It's like a giant one of those. It's exactly what it is. And huge ones. And I'm like, man, I could do that. Like South Africa, they sound like Australians. It's an English speaking area.
Well, there's a big one. Any of those you can do, you know, go for it because it's going to be so much easier on you.
But I don't know. I like to feel like I did the research, I put in the work, and I did it with minimal assistance. But anyway, my Vimeo will stop recording after I've been on it for 2 hours. So I got to.
No, we're good. We're good, man.
I got 7 minutes. So
I'm ready. I'm ready to pee whenever we wrap this up. So
yeah, so we'll wrap it up. I want to just kind of get, I guess, your quick idea on like where you kind of see this whole thing going, where you see your channel going. I would say, are you just sort of riding the tide, or have you got objectives? Where you kind of see this YouTube thing going? I'd say for you, and then just like where you kind of think things are moving towards.
So I think I touched on this earlier a little bit, but I'm definitely getting to the point where I've experienced some burnout, and I kind of got to the point where like, I don't know if I want to just keep making videos of a guy catching fish, because there's a million other guys doing that. And it's not just, I don't want to do it because other people do it, but I don't want to do it because, I don't know. I basically rather catch the fish without the camera and have a better time. But what I've really realized that I'm passionate about through just this whole YouTube journey is like kind of telling a story. So that's where And I don't know when this is going to come out. I know this is probably going to come out months from now. So hopefully my first kind of video in this new direction is already going to be out. I'm going to film it this coming weekend in Wisconsin with this guy, Ed the diver. But I'm going to transition towards, I don't want to say like more documentary style, but maybe that's a good way to put it, but just kind of like telling stories. So, to be specific and not take up too much more time, but this is what I'm doing this weekend. When I do collaborations with other YouTubers instead of the classic traditional fishing YouTuber collab where it's just two guys fishing together and they hope they draw the, viewers from each other's channels and it's mutually beneficial. I want to basically do a story on the creator. So this weekend, I'm going to do this video with this guy, Ed the diver. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's super fascinating. He's a scuba diver in Wisconsin. And his full-time job is he dives down to the bottom of lakes and rivers and he pulls up all these lures on snags. He'll find a log and there'll be 300 lures snagged. And he pulls them all up. He cleans them up. He puts new hooks on them. He paints them sometimes and he resells them. And that's his whole thing. It's so cool. It's a job this guy invented himself, and it's literally like full time, paying the bills for him. And then there's also like a cool like environmental aspect of it because he picks up all the trash when he's down there, and so it's gonna be like kind of like a story on him. And I'm hoping it can be just more fast paced and more engaging for the viewers. But also my hopes is like, what's a better way to get another creator's audience to join your kind of your whole deal than to do a short documentary on the guy they're already a fan of. That's one example, and there'll be some more. I want to do some more stuff that's maybe explores species and is a little more educational, and I got some other ideas in the works, so hopefully you can just see them coming up in the future. And
no, that sounds awesome. That's actually got a lot of my interest. That's a little more geared that way. I don't mind being entertained. I like being entertained, but it's like I need a story. And I think a lot of that, like I alluded to, for my own personal fishing trips, I need difficulty. Yeah. And I want to watch somebody else go through some crap.
Yeah. And I need, as a creator, I need that to, I need to do that to feel fresh and feel like I have something I want to put out and be proud of and everything. So, hey, come November, December, I'll do one on you, man. Let's do it.
I'd be all down for it. I don't know. People would be surprised some of the crap that I've done and come through. I just keep it all to myself too much, maybe. But for sure, keep me in touch when you come down. We'll definitely get out there and try to get a Goliath. It's not rocket science. I mean, if you get the bait in front of them, you're pretty much golden.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of the podcast, so I'd love to shed some light on that in any way I can. So
I appreciate that. It's been a fun process. I'm just enjoying getting to meet people. I'm not, again, getting too wrapped up in what's gonna do for me. I don't care if it does anything. If the best thing is the invites that I'm getting from these people, like, hey, as soon as I stop recording, hey, you got to come out. I'm like, hell yeah, this is how I'm gonna be able to secure some free fishing trips. Well,
anyway. Hey, you're getting me through some brutal work days out in this last heat wave we had. So if anything, you can have that to be happy about.
Oh, for sure. Well, any little bit that I can help, because I know how that goes. But anyway, man. So just I always end it sort of the same way. Just sort of remind people where they can find your YouTube channel, Instagram, whatever. How they can find you.
Yeah, so the YouTube channel is just Deadcrab, all caps. The best way to find it is just type www.youtube.com/@deadcrab, and that'll take you right there. Or you can, search for it or whatever. And hopefully you can link it in here as well. And then my Instagram, which is a lot newer than the YouTube channel, which is still pretty new as well, is Deadcrab_fishing. So That's the Instagram. And I'm trying to not put the same thing on my Instagram as I am on my YouTube. So you won't see the same shorts. At first I did a few, but you'll see completely different content on my Instagram than you will on my YouTube channel. So hopefully there's something there that people can get into.
Well, that's awesome. Well, definitely, I encourage anybody listening to check it out. There's some very entertaining stuff on there. I like some of the short videos, and I like some of the longer stuff, and I really look forward to seeing how the channel is evolving. I mean, you've kind of hinted at some ideas, not letting the cat out of the bag too much, but I look forward to seeing the growth of the channel, the growth of, I don't know, maybe it evolves into a brand if you want to call it that. But
absolutely,
man, Carl, I appreciate your time. I know I feel like I learned a lot, and when I begin doing my YouTube videos, and probably I want to say in next years when I'm going to start diving into that, I'll be picking your brain a lot. I need guidance. I need tips. I need.
Oh, I'm your guy for
ideas,
that. Anytime, man. Anytime. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, dude. All right, man. We'll be in touch, and I appreciate your time. Have a good one.
Yeah, same to you, man. Be good. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Boundless Pursuit. Tune in each week as we bring stories and insight from uniquely talented anglers and outdoorsmen. And if you enjoyed this show, I want to hear from you. Be sure to leave a 5-star review, as this is going to drive the growth and exposure of this show. And if you have feedback or guest suggestions, I would love to hear from you. And you can reach me at boundlesspursuitfishing@gmail.com. For all other collections of media and contact information, please visit www.boundless-pursuit.com.